Prusa Slicer has a great bunch of painting tools, so you can paint your model ready for multi-material printing with something like an MMU. However, the colours that you paint with these tools are only ever guaranteed on the surface of your model and doesn't allow you to control the depth of those colours in your print. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through a little trick hidden inside Prusa Slicer, which allows you to specify the depth of these colours. So let's have a look. As I say, with the tools in Prusa Slicer, it's easy to paint the exterior of your model to be whatever colours you want, but it doesn't give you control over how deep into your model these colours run. This can be problematic. If you paint it on a light colour and it's only printed very thin, and you've got, let's say, black as an infill, you're going to start seeing the shades of that black showing up through the semi-transparent external layer that you painted on. This is then going to ruin the aesthetics of your print. Equally, you may want to paint on a very thin, light layer so you can then see through that partially and it'll have it blend with the colour below. But you can't control what colours are going to be below that or how thick that first layer is going to be painted. In this video, I take you through a quick little trick that allows you to specify the depth that colours are painted inside the model. We don't need a complicated model for this demonstration, so I'm just going to right click on the print bed, go to add shape and then add a box. You can then change the scale of the box down here, so I'm just going to give it a round number of 20mm cubed. With the box selected, I'm going to go over to the multi-material painting tool, select the Smart Fill, and then paint on one face with a different filament colour. With it sliced, if I go down through the layers now, you'll see that even though I only painted the outside face, it has created a triangle of the white feeding into the model. With the dominant colour of this model being black, it's not like I'm going to see this white through my other layers. However, if this was flipped the other way round, and the dominant colour was white and that triangle was black, I would potentially see this triangle through the white top and bottom layers of my print. If I go back into the edit view now, and I select the brush paint tool, and I just paint on a little white spot here, if I slice this again and go down through the layers, you'll see that this white spot has bled into another 3D shape reaching inside the model. So how do you control the depth of colours in your print? Let's clear all painting on the cube, and then if I right click on it and go to change extruder, I'm going to change this cube to white, which will be better for the demonstration I'm about to show you. So now what you're going to do is right click on your object, go to add modifier. I'm going to select a box, but you can select any modifier shape or any collection of modifier shapes that suit your purpose. I'll drag it and move it over my object, and then I'm going to go up and I'm going to select scale. I'm then going to scale this down so it's a bit smaller than my object, and I'm going to lengthen the y-axis so it's sticking out the ends of my model. Now you'll notice that the modifier box, which has been named generic box, has been nested underneath the shape box, which is our cube, on the list on the right. What this means is this modifier is only going to affect the cube that it has been nested within. If you aren't familiar with modifiers, I've released a full tutorial on all of the modifier functions in Prusa Slicer, so make sure you check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. So let's now right click on our modifier box, go to change extruder, and we'll set it to a different colour. Let's now slice our model, and you'll see that even though it was sticking out the ends of our cube, it has now just painted the areas of the faces where it made contact with our modifier box. If I scroll down through the layers, however, you'll see that it has painted the whole volume of our modifier box within our shape cube. If you were printing this with multiple materials rather than just different colours of the same material, it may be that they don't fuse together properly, and as a result, because this is just a straight shape, after printing it could effectively be slid out or pushed out of the object. There are some ways to get around this with normal painting, however it doesn't apply if you're painting using modifiers, so the fix here is to use more modifiers. What we're going to do is create another modifier on the same object, and we're going to make this a narrower modifier than our main modifier, and we're going to place this so it is effectively running through the middle of our modifier and then extending out into the rest of the body of our print. We're then going to make sure that the material of this modifier is the same as the dominant or default material of the rest of our print. So in this case, it would be white. I'll set that to extruder 2 for white, and then we'll slice again. What this has effectively done is print an interlocking bar running through the middle of the black part of the print, therefore holding it in place. It is made using the same perimeter walls as the rest of the dominant filament in this model, so it is locking it in place rather than just adding a third small object inside the black area. This will then lock that pass in place and hold it in place post-printing. So that is how you can use modifiers to effectively paint in 3D volumes in Prusa Slicer. Now we're going to look at how you can layer the different filaments in your print so you can effectively merge the colors and create gradients. The first thing I'm going to do is right-click on our cube and change this to white because that will be better for the demonstration I'm about to use. We will then right-click on it again, go down to Add Modifier, and I'm adding another box. Obviously, you can use whatever shape is most appropriate for what you're doing. In this video, we're using world coordinates for everything. So what I'm going to do is quickly pop our cube in the bottom left corner of the bed. So bear in mind it is a 20mm cube and the origin point of the coordinates for an object is in the center of the object. This should be 10 by 10 by 10mm, moving it in from the side, up from the front, and then up from the base by half its dimensions. Now what we're aiming to do in this demonstration is have the lower half of this front face of this cube is grey while the rest is white, but only using white and black filaments. We would do that by basically creating a modifier which is half of the size of this front face and positioning it just inside, allowing a single or two layers of white before it then goes to the black modifier. Now the position that you set for your modifiers is set relative to the position of your object. So if you were to move the object back into the middle of the bed, your modifiers will be in the same relative position to your object. So let's right click on our modifier and change the color to black. And we'll go ahead and slice. So the result is a completely white cube, but as we move down through the layers, you will notice the black modifier we have inserted with a single white perimeter layer in front of it. Therefore, we'll be able to slightly see through this white layer and the colors are going to merge and we'll see a gray shape in this area. I hope this video has helped solve some of your Prusa Slicer painting woes. If it has, make sure you hit like. If you've got any other questions on this subject, please make sure you pop them in the comments and I'll reply to them as soon as I can. If you'd like to learn more about painting in Prusa Slicer, hold track because I have got a Prusa Slicer painting masterclass coming very soon. So keep an eye out for that and make sure you've hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks very much for sticking around. If you are in the mood for learning more, I've got a bunch of other 3D printing tutorials and just a bunch of maker videos, so check them out. Either way, thanks very much guys, and until next time, happy printing.